Hi everyone, my name is Sandeep. I am working as assistant professor in the Department of Information Technology of MLR Institute of Technology, Hyderabad. We are discussing about the Python programming language. In last class video, we discussed about that mutable objects and immutable objects, which is the different types of, that is two types of objects in Python. Mutable object and immutable objects. So if we revise this concept, what is the mutable and what is the immutable means? Mutable object, once we create an object, then we can change the values of that object. Then immutable means, once we create an object, then we cannot modify that values of object. We cannot modify the values of that object. So this is the mutable and immutable. So all are the fundamental data types of Python programming language are immutable. For example, if you take int is an immutable, float is also immutable, and also that complex is also immutable, right? Bool is also immutable. So all fundamental data types of Python programming language are immutable type of objects. Today we are going to discuss, this is the next data type, that is bytes data type, byte array data type, typecasting, int function and float function, right? So first we will discuss the bytes data type. What is this bytes data type? Bytes data type represents a group of byte numbers just like an array. That means byte data type represents a group of numbers, for example 1, 2, 3, 4 and so on, like an array. But there is a limitation, that is the numbers, that is it represents number from 0 to 255. 0 to 255, which is included. So that is the one limitation of the byte data type. It means it represents only the range of values, that is from 0 to 255. If beyond these values, that is 255, then it shows that error. Let's say an example of the program. Okay, a equals to 20, 30, 40. Now actually this is the list type of object. Now we have to convert this list object by using bytes function. Then it is represented as byte data type. See, for example, print a, or we can see print type of a. Now I save this program and I am going to run this one. See, just a minute, where I save this program. So in the E drive and Python folder. So right, just a minute. Now see, now Python, so test.py. So what is this actually? List data type. Now how can you represent this object as a bytes data type or bytes type of object? Then we have one inbuilt function, that is bytes function. See, now bytes function. Now into this function we have to pass that object, and again I am going to assign the result of this conversion to another variable b. Now see, print type of b. Now see which data type this will become. See, bytes data type. It means if you want to represent the bytes data type or bytes type object, then use this bytes function, which is inbuilt function. And of course commonly we are going to access that memory address by using id function. Now see, once I will compile. So this is the memory address of the bytes object, and again print. Now I am going to print the value of by object, that is value, object value. So once I run this program, but here what we get, some hexadecimal code is cut, right? Some hexadecimal code is displayed. Then how can you print the values which we stored into the bytes object? Means either by using slice operator or by using for loop, right? First we will see, if I want to access the 20 value, then that 20 value represents the index number 0. The 20 number value represents which index number? 0, and for example if I want to print 30, then the 30 value represents the first index number, which represents what? Memory representation or memory address representation. So now see, we will get that values, that is 20 and 30, which we stored the values in that bytes object, right? Next, for example, if I want to access all values at a time, then use this for loop. For each value of I in B, that is whatever we have the values in the object B, that all objects will be assigned to the variable I, which we can represent that iterative variable or iterative variable. Okay, what is this means? For each value of I in B means whatever the values are there in object B, that all values will be assigned to I one by one. Now see, where the value is now representing in I, so that's why I is printed. Now answer and compile. See, 20, 30, 40, all values is printed at a time, right? So this is the bytes data type. But here one limitation is there. What is the limitation of this bytes data type? Means, for example, I need to check whether this is mutable or immutable. That means mutable object or immutable object. Now B of 0. For example, I want to change the value of 20 with the 50. Now I am going to print B of 0. Actually what we have to get that value? 50, because of we change the value, right? Now see what we are getting. Bytes object does not support item assignment. Bytes object does not support item assignment. That means bytes data type is immutable object. Once the object is created, then we cannot change the values of that object. This is the one limitation. So now bytes is what? Immutable object or mutable object? Immutable object. Once an object is created, then we cannot modify the values of that object. So that is the one limitation. Next, for example, if I want to store the values 257 or 257, right? Now see, now what we get? We get what? Error. Why? Because of byte represents a group of numbers, that is 0 to 255. That is, see, as we discussed in the slides, right? 0 to 255. So if we are going to store more beyond that value or beyond that range of byte, then we will get what? An error. So what is the first limitation here? That is, bytes is an immutable type object, and second here is it represents only the range values from 0 to 255. That is about what? Bytes data type. Next, another data type we had, byte array data type. What is that one? Byte array data type. So what is this byte array data type? So byte array data type is similar to the bytes data type, but there is a difference between the byte array data type and bytes data type. What is the difference is, bytes data type is an immutable object and byte array data type is what? Mutable object. Means once we create that byte array object, we can change the values of that object. Let me see one example. First, let me create an byte array object. How can we create an byte array object? So we have one function, that is byte array function. By using byte array function, then we are going to create what? An byte array object. See, so I am going to run this program. What? Byte array. Yes, but here what we given? We given that values more than the beyond, that is 256. For example, I am going to 200. Now I save this program. Once I run this one, now we will get what? Now see here, this is the byte. By using these byte array function, we are going to convert what? The byte object. We are going to convert the list object into byte array object. Now let me run this program. Now see, what we got? Byte array type. Okay, na? Byte array type. So how can we create an byte array object? Means by using byte array function. How can we create that bytes object? Means by using bytes function. Now here we can see about that mutable. For example, b of 0 equals to 50. B of 0 equals to 50. Now b of 0. Let me see whether these value are changed. What happened? 1 minute. So there is some extra parenthesis. Now once again I save this program and running this. What happened? Now that value is replaced with the 50. 20 value is replaced with the 50. Now, so byte array data type is what? Immutable object. Byte array data type is what? Mutable object. So bytes data type is what? Immutable object, and byte array type is what? Mutable object. So bytes is, we cannot change the values of that object, that is immutable, and byte array we can change the values of that object, that is what? Mutable. So this is about what? Bytes data type and byte array data type. So after then actually we have to discuss about that next sequences, that is list, tuple, range. But before that discussing, we are going to discuss the next thing, typecasting, which is very important concept in Python programming. So what is this typecasting? Means we can convert one type or one data type value to another data type value. That means, for example, there is an int data type. So now if you want to convert that int value to float value, then use this typecasting. Use this typecasting. That means if you want to convert from one data type value to another data type value, and this conversion is called typecasting or type coercion. Typecasting or type coercion. Of course, to convert from one data type value to another data type value, there are some inbuilt functions, that is int function, float function, complex function, bool function, str function. Okay, na? Int function, float function, complex function, bool function and str function. So among these 5 functions, first we are going to discuss about that int function. So what is this int function? Means if you want to convert any data type value to int type, any data type value to int type, then use int function. For example, if you want to convert the float value, what is the float value? A equals to 212.345. Now by using, so I need to convert this float value into int type value, then use the int function and pass that object into the int function, and again now print what is the value of the int. Now see 212. It means after decimal point, whatever the number is there, that number is removed because of we convert what? That float value to int type. For example, there is an one value string. Next, here very important, if you want to convert string values, then the string values must and should be represented in integral way. For example, b equals to 10. Actually, what is this one? String type. Now if you want to convert this string, then this string into int, then use which function? Int function. Now see what happened? So 10. So here very important point here is, if you want to represent or if you want to convert the string values into some other data type or into int data type, then you have to represent the string values in which way or in which form? Integral form or integral values. So that's why here we represented what? 10, which represents what? Integral or integral values which include double quotations, right? Next, after this we have another function, that is float function. Now by using these float function, you can convert any data type to float type value. you can use any, if you want to convert any data type value to float function, then float value, then use float function. Now see, let me see one example. A equals to 123. This is actually int value. Now I need to convert and print the float value by using which function? Float function. See, first I am converting what? That int value to float type, and then I am printing that value. So now what is the result we'll get? 123.0. Okay, now 123.0. Similarly, if you want to represent or if you want to convert the string values into float, then use what? String literal way, or string, then use the string values in integral values. Okay, if you want to convert the string values into float function, then represent that string values in the form of integral forms. Okay, now this is about what? Int function and float function. Next, we have some other functions. So that functions we will discuss in next video. So today's summary is what? We can convert from any type to int. That means if you want to convert any type value to int, then use int function. But we cannot convert that complex type value to int type. That means we cannot convert that complex value to int. Next, as we discussed in the last point or last slide, if you want to convert string type to int type, compulsory the string value should represent integral values and should be specified in base 10. So as we seen in that last program, that string should contain only what? Integral values. Next, we can convert any type value to float type except complex type. It means complex type cannot convert to int type and the complex type cannot convert to float type. And similarly here also, whenever we are trying to convert string type to float type, compulsory the string value should be contained either in integral value or floating point value. Floating point value. So that is the one important condition to convert the string values to either int or float. This is about what? Some typecasting, which conversions from any data type to int and float. And also we discussed bytes and byte array type. In next class, we will discuss another type conversion functions, and then we will continue with the sequence type. Thank you.